Let's go for it!
Hey everybody, it's me, your buddy Dave, the host here at The Dark Stuff. Thanks for checking out my newest video. Today's video is going to be a review of the new album from St. Vincent. The album with the butt on the cover. It's the butt album, Masseduction. Those of you who have been following my channel for any amount of time know that St. Vincent is one of the artists that I talk about the most of anyone on the channel. I'm always trying to come up with new ways to introduce her as a topic or to make some sort of relevant connection, relevant being relative apparently, to sort of tie her into the discussion. She is my favorite artist of the 21st century. I don't think there's anyone that comes close. Seduction. So like most of my review videos, I'm going to start with a little bit of my history with the artist and just sort of say how we got to the point where we are now. Masseduction is St. Vincent's fifth album, and I have been following her through every stage of her career. Her debut album, Marry Me, came out in 2007. I was a pretty early adopter. I remember getting the first single for, I think, All My Stars Align, perhaps, or maybe it was Now, was sent as the first single, and I started playing it on my show. I loved it. I had no idea who she was or anything about her. I've seen her at all the various levels in her career, starting as a newbie opening act for people, playing just by herself, to having a band, to the 2014 St. Vincent tour, the self-titled tour. There was a title to it, I can't remember what it was called, but anyways, where she had the really elaborate production and it was all choreographed, and you know, she did the Medusa white hair thing. I mean, it was like a crazy production. I interviewed her on that tour. That interview in the podcast form is on YouTube. Of course, I'll link to it. It's one of my more popular videos, actually, even though there's really not much of a video component, except I just kind of flash photos of her. But anyways, I have liked every one of her records up to this point. And so I was very much anticipating this new record. I'd heard a lot of talk prior to it coming out that made me a little nervous, okay? Mainly it's because of her choice of producer and collaborator on this record is this guy named Jack Antonoff, okay? Now, you might not be familiar with Jack Antonoff. Maybe you are. If you're a teenager, you are. If you have kids that are teenagers, they probably are. He's in the bands Fun and Bleachers. Both of those bands, but Fun especially, gets a lot of mainstream radio. He's also well known, just for a side note, because he dates Lena Dunham, the actress and writer. And I remember that a little anecdote here. I remember because Fun played at some music festival I worked at, and I didn't really know anything about them, but I remember all of the women that were working at the festival were really excited because they were hoping Lena Dunham was going to be there, you know? She wasn't. But anyways, so he has these two mainstream bands. He's worked as a producer, collaborator with other artists, people like Lorde, Taylor Swift, those kinds of folks. I happen to like Lorde. I'm not a major fan, but the stuff I've heard, I did like. I do respect her talent. She did a great interview on WTF with Mark Maron that brought her in a sort of a new light to me. I was like, I really liked what she had to say in that interview. Anyways, but Taylor Swift I have really, really mixed feelings about. I'd say probably about 95% of those feelings are negative and maybe 5% are positive, but that's still a mix, okay? So the idea that she was going to be working with this collaborator, to a lot of people, they go to the direction of, okay, well, this is going to be some big pop sellout album, and she's just going for that brass ring and all that. And I don't think that's entirely fair, and it turns out it's not entirely true. It's not entirely inaccurate either, but it's not entirely true. Let's first break down the packaging here, okay? So I got the expanded vinyl, or the whatever you call it, the whatever it was, the more expensive one. Anyways, so it comes in this plastic bag with the title, tracks written on the back. St. Vincent in blue, Mass Seduction in pink. You got the cover with the butt there. By the way, not St. Vincent's butt. They did hire a butt model for that, just so everyone knows. I haven't gone through the credits yet to see if they name this particular butt model, but I guess we can find out. Seduction. You get this booklet, which is pretty nice, and it's filled with pictures and the lyrics from the record. Now, these pictures are not really that much of St. Vincent per se. They're sort of like, some of them are kind of arty prints, and then some of them are sort of like just kind of, I don't know, arty photos in general, and then some of them are kind of like these fetish, again with the butts, sort of like a fetish sort of thing, which is a recurring theme in this particular production and album. You get a set of stickers, St. Vincent, Mass Seduction, that's cool. My version is yellow vinyl. I know it was also made on pink and probably black. And again, there's a butt on the cover there, on the label. So the butt picture, turns out it expands this ways. And you open up the poster, which is actually the cover of the record, and on the inside, you get a poster of Annie, St. Vincent herself.
Hello. It's me.
So the package is pretty cool. It's a little more form over function to me personally, because you can't utilize the poster really, because if you do, then you don't have a cover for the album. Seduction. You know, a lot of people are proclaiming her in the media sort of like the new David Bowie, which is, I think, pretty cool. You know, I mean, I don't see a direct comparison, because then they go, oh, well, this is sort of like her Let's Dance album, okay? Alluding to the fact that David Bowie's Let's Dance album was a massive mainstream success, where Bowie made supposedly intentionally more commercially viable music than he had been in the previous years, where he was in his sort of Berlin experimental phase. Now, I don't know. I don't take a ton of stock in that. I mean, I don't know. David Bowie was still a major artist before he went mainstream. I mean, he was still fucking huge, okay? Still played arenas and stuff. St. Vincent's not quite there yet, so I'm not sure the comparison really holds. But there isn't as much guitar on this new album as I was hoping. There is on certain songs, and, you know, even though she's going to be at guitar camp with Yngwie Malmsteen, you should not confuse her music, any of her previous albums either, with shredder music, okay? She's certainly capable of doing that if she wants to, but she has a more, I mean, just a different kind of a vibe for what she's doing. So, you know, she is doing this new sort of maybe persona of pop star, or I'm going to seduce the masses. The album is called Mass Seduction. But I think that there's something, if she is doing that, and it's a conscious decision to sort of try and reel people in with what maybe sounds a little bit more mainstream, and then I'm going to pervert you with my weird ideas and my, you know, different kind of lyrics, and, you know, I'm going to get you with the art by sort of luring you in with the more commercial, with the commerce. Then I'm going to give you some art. And maybe that's what she's doing on Mass Seduction. I don't know. Mass Seduction. But the most important thing is the music, so I'll just talk about the record. My favorite song on the album is, without a doubt, hands down, the title track, Mass Seduction. Some of it sounds almost like 80s Prince, you know, and it's fucking awesome. I mean, it's so good. And just the line that she keeps saying in it, I can't turn off what turns me on. I can't turn off what turns me on. She has this really sexy vocal presence to it, and it's funky, it rocks, it does have some of her squalling guitar parts and stuff that I like. Got a great vibe. And then towards the end of the song, the second half of the song, she starts mixing it up. Instead of saying mass seduction, she says mass destruction. And it's a cool interchange, and then it makes you sort of think the song is a little bit different than what you kind of initially thought. Okay, the second song, Pills, is one of the best songs on the album. Jenny Lewis is featured on the backup vocals, which is nice, as is St. Vincent's former girlfriend, Cara Delevingne, the actress, is on here. She's not listed by name, but I read somewhere on the internet that she was using a different name on it. But it has this really, oh my God, it gets so stuck in your head, and it's so, I mean, she probably did this on purpose just to piss me off, but it's like, it goes pills to wake, pills to sleep, pills, pills, pills every day of the week, pills to work. Wait. God damn it, I can't even read with these fucking glasses. Okay, pills to work, pills to think, pills, pills, pills for the family. So you hear that over and over and over. So pills to wake, pills to sleep, pills, pills, pills.
Pills to wake, pills to sleep, pills, pills, pills every day of the week.
Okay, so you're hearing that in the background, and then she comes on and does this rest of the song, which is awesome. And again, it has a excellent guitar part right in the middle, back to the old classic St. Vincent sound. So far, we're right on the money. This song is rocking. It's fantastic. It does go a little bit long, and there's a second part of the song that seems like it was a different song, and they sort of tacked it on to Pills to make it longer, because otherwise it would have been about 1:45, and they needed to make it longer. So it seems like they put this other instrumental part in there, but you know, I don't know.
Seduction.
The third song is Mass Seduction. I talked about that. That's easily the best song on the record. I love that tune. I'm confused why that's not the single, honestly, because in advance of the album, they put out the song New York, which is kind of a ballad. I didn't know if that was officially the single, especially because she says motherfucker in it over and over, and you usually don't say motherfucker in your lead-off single.
The only motherfucker in the city who can stand me.
But I think the formal first single is Los Angeles, and that's a great tune, but like, I don't know, I just think Mass Seduction is much better, and I think if you're going to try to get the radio behind it and get a little more mainstream appeal, that is the truly subversive song if you really want to get them in there. But that's just my 2 cents on that one, Annie. After Mass Seduction is my least favorite song on the album. It's called Sugar Boy. It's awful. Okay, terrible song. The worst St. Vincent song that's ever been recorded. I truly hate it. It has this techno beat, and part of it sounds like current like techno electronic music, and then part of it sounds like a fucking Tron video game or something. It's just, I just don't like it. I don't like any element of it. I don't like the chorus. I don't like the verse. I don't like the music. I just don't like it. Moving on.
How can anybody have you? How can anybody have you and lose you? How can anybody have you and lose you? Not lose their minds too.
Los Angeles is the next song on that one. A great single. Has the bit, you know, how could anybody have you? How could anybody have you and lose you? How could everybody have you and lose you and not lose their mind too? It's great. It starts off and it's sort of like it seems like she's being critical of Los Angeles and the sort of the vapidness of that whole Hollywood culture. And then part of it's like, but you know, how can anyone have you? How can anyone lose? You know, and then you wonder, is this about her former sort of Hollywood girlfriend? Maybe. But you know what? Whenever I sort of think that, I sort of think that's too obvious. And if St. Vincent is anything, she is not obvious, okay? So there is no direct line between point A and point B in what she's doing. And so I can't assume that, you know, because I hear, oh, I lost you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that is what it's about, but I think it's ridiculous to assume that when she's doing something, she's doing it for the obvious reason.
I can't turn off what turns me on.
The next song is called Happy Birthday, Johnny, and it's a melancholy tune, a ballad. And it's one where we hear about this Johnny character for the third time, because she did have the song called Prince Johnny on her last album. And in the title cut to her debut album, Marry Me, she says, "Marry me, John, marry me, John."
Marry me, John, marry me, John, I'll be so good to you.
I'm assuming it's the same Johnny. I mean, who knows? If it's a fictional character, again, you can't be linear or obvious with St. Vincent, because she's not linear or obvious. So I'm assuming it's the same character, at least especially as the Prince Johnny song, because that would make more sense. But it's just sort of a tale of a troubled friend. They sort of lost connection. This friend has a lot of trouble, and you can only help them so much. And then that sort of guilt you feel when, you know, you have to maybe distance yourself from somebody that you love because they're going down a path and you can't go down that path with them. That was the vibe that I got from that particular tune.
Seduction.
Another one of the album's highlights is Savior. Again, it's got this funk groove. It's got a great vocal from Annie. Again, a really sexy delivery on this one, where this is where the fetish part stuff comes in, where it ties in with the artwork, I'm assuming, because she's talking about dressing up in leather and then dressing up as the schoolgirl and as a sexy nurse and all this.
You put me in a teacher's little denim skirt, ruler and desk, so I can make it hurt.
And again, it's not being obvious, but so there is this sort of fetish feel to it, a very sexual vibe. She delivers that vocal amazing. I mean, I've had a crush on Annie Clark for 10 years. You know, shit, I know it's not happening, but still, when you listen to that in headphones, you're just like, damn, that is hot.
I can't turn off what turns me on.
New York is the next track. That was the lead-off track. It came out in advance of the album. It's another ballad. I think it's really good. When it first came out, it took me a while to like it. My instant reaction was negative, but then as I listened to it more, I really, really loved the lyric, and I loved her vocal performance. And I can't really complain about the arrangement either. It's got a little bit of the quiet sort of, techno beat going in there, but it's quiet and it's subtle. And it's just another song about loss and, realizing you can't go back. She's sort of lamenting the fact that New York is different now. New York isn't true without you, love. New York isn't New York without you, love. And it's just, you can't go back in history and go back to a time where things were a certain way. Time doesn't work that way. It moves forward. I think it's a great tune. I've heard a lot of people say they love the whole album except New York, which is odd to me because I think it's one of her stronger vocal performances personally.
Seduction.
Fear the Future is the next track. It's kind of an upbeat one, a little more of an electro beat. Fear the Future is also the title of her tour, so obviously there's some significance to that. Another one with a little bit of guitar part in it. I like it. Good song.
Seduction.
Young Lover is a poppier tune. Again, I'm reading in all these reviews, and they make this assumption that the song is about Cara Delevingne. Because she was younger than Annie, and they were lovers, and Young Lover, and let's put one and one together and get two. Maybe it is, she does sing Young Lover. I miss the taste of your tongue, and it is sort of I miss you, this young love. But I'm gonna keep reiterating this. I don't think people should make that leap and just automatically assume that's what it's about. But who knows? I could be wrong. Annie and I didn't discuss the contents of the record before I made this video, so I could be totally off base.
Seduction.
Okay, so depending on what version of the album you have, the next song is either called the Slow Disco Interlude, which it's called on here, or on the CD it's called Dancing with a Ghost. But either way, it's a 46-second instrumental that sounds like it's an intro to the next song anyways, so I think it's probably smarter to call it Slow Disco Interlude, because then it comes into the slow disco song. That's a decent tune, kind of nondescript. I don't really have too much memory of it. There's a second singer at the end of the record that reminded me of the guy from the Fine Young Cannibals. She Drives Me Crazy. It's not him, but that was the kind of the thing. I don't know why it was there. Again, it seemed like it was tacked on from something else, not sure.
Seduction.
And the album closes with a song called Smoking Section, another slower one, really, really nice vocal from Annie, solid. A good way to close the album. It's got a smoky jazz feel, and it's, again, one of her better performances. So overall, I have to rank the album pretty high. I did say that I really can't stand that one song, Sugar Boy. But if that's my only complaint, you know what? I skip over that track when it comes on, and I just don't have to hear it. I can pretend it's not on the album, There's some Japanese bonus tracks I have yet to hear. I want to get caught up with those. Looking forward to the tour. She's coming to Omaha in January, so I'm already working on finagling tickets. I'd love to try to meet her again, but the person I was able to arrange that with is no longer tied in with her anymore, so probably not going to happen anymore unless I get the personal invite after she watches this video and says how great it is.
Seduction.
Anyway, anyways, I am recommending the St. Vincent album. I feel weird just holding up a picture with some chick's butt on it. But if your first reaction to the album is a negative one and you're instantly like, I don't like this, I'm moving on. Okay, maybe put it aside for a couple days and then give it another try later. Because like the song New York and like Los Angeles, I initially, my first reaction was like, I don't like this. But repeated listens, I finally locked into it, and when you hear the song Mass Seduction, I think that is the key to locking you into the overall vibe of the album. That's the album's best track, without a doubt. So I am giving it a high recommendation, and I can't wait to see what she does on this coming tour. Thanks a lot for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
That's Kiss?
Yeah, no?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's Kiss.
Why did I think a woman was singing that song?
I just...